Eco Yachting, Eco Yachting Nicolas Venance, Eco Yachting, a report by Yachting Art Magazine. Hello everybody and welcome to Eco Yachting, an Eco Yachting live from Germany and the Bavaria Test Center on the edge of the main river. 2 months ago, Marc Diening became the new CEO of Bavaria. Let's meet him to discover him and his roadmap at the head of Bavaria. Marc Diening, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Nicolas.
So, Marc, 2 months ago, you became the new CEO of Bavaria. My first question will not surprise our viewers. Do you have ever sailed?
Of course, of course I did. Actually, my family, my aunt was introducing me to sailing when I was, I think, 8 or 9 years. And since then, I really enjoyed it. So although Bavaria is also building motorboats, traditionally I'm come from the sailing side.
Sailing culture.
Yes. But for me, it's more the little yachts on the lake, rather than the big ocean up to now. So I'm transitioning into the cruising world.
Before being CEO of Bavaria, in which sector did you work?
So the last position I had was at Magirus, which you might know as an authority in firefighting, with aerial ladders and tank pumpers and the big machines at the airport. And before that I spent 15 years in the railway industry, building high-speed trains, driverless metro for Singapore, regional trains for Europe.
As industrial, what was the image you had before entering the boating industry of our sector?
I think there's always a discussion about how sophisticated, how industrialized the sector is. And I think this is the challenge which we currently have, to have the right mix between the low volume, high flexibility which is needed, and at the same time to have some industrialization behind in order to make the yachts affordable.
What was the image you had of Bavaria?
For me, Bavaria was the company who was democratizing to a certain degree the sailing, because due to the price positioning and the availability for the charter, it was a game changer a few decades ago. And Bavaria was known for their production system with the Giebelstadt factory, which was or is legendary in the industry. So these were the 2 main elements. And on top of that, everyone I told that I'm moving to Bavaria, 80% have been on the Bavaria, and they congratulated me to the new position. So I'm really looking very much forward for the next years.
On an industrial point of view, what are the similarities you can draw between Magirus and Bavaria?
Although it looks from the outside quite different, we also have a product which has 3,000 to 4,000 part numbers, for example, high variance, a lot of options, and a lot of manual labor. So there are hundreds, if not thousands, of hours going into one firefighting vehicle, but also into one of the yachts. So behind the scene, there are a lot of challenges. You need to manage complexity in both industries in the most economic way, provide the right product for the customer, and there's not the customer, there are individual customers which you need to reflect in the product. So we see quite some similarities between the two, although I appreciate that it's a totally different industry and product at the end of the day.
When you entered Bavaria, what were the features you were surprised about?
I was very happy about the team and the passion. I mean, Bavaria was not always having very positive, successful times as well. So it was a little bit turbulent in the last decade and a half. But still we found a lot of very passionate, very loyal people who wanted to do the best for the art and for the customers. And I was very happy to find that. I didn't take that for granted looking at the history. But we have a great team on which we can build.
Could you give us some features about Bavaria today? Number of boats constructed, repartition of the sales between sails and motorboats?
Yeah, so looking into last years, we were selling around about 450 yachts coming out of the valley after 2018. And in terms of number of boats, we currently talk about around about 60% sailing, 40% motor. looking into the next years is a little bit difficult to predict, but the trend is a little bit more upbeat on the motor side. So most likely we will see this relationship shifting a bit in the years to come.
You have discovered the Bavaria range 2 months ago, maybe some weeks before, because of course. But in the Bavaria offer, which model is your favorite one? We will not repeat it.
Unfortunately, I have the same difficulties to get boats like all of our customers. So I was not yet able to really test the whole range of products we have. But my last impression from last week was first time sailing the C42. And although we had only very light wind, but maybe it's a good moment to test the boat as well. It was quite impressive. The space and the concept for the boat, but also the sailing behavior. So that for me was a very positive surprise. And as I'm coming a little bit more from the more sporty sailing side of smaller boats, I was very happy to see that you can have very good sailing performance also on a 42.
As a new CEO of Bavaria, what will be the roadmap that was decided by owners?
Looking into what happened in the last 2 years, you can already identify the strategy. So Bavaria decided to invest into new models and not only in small upgrades, but really nicely positioned new products. And that happened on the sailing side, looking at the C42 and C38. And it happened already on the motorboat side, looking at the SR41 most recently. So this trend, I think we need to continue to have the right products in the market in the years to come.
Yeah, boating industry is powered by innovation.
Absolutely, yeah. And if you compare the products, especially coming back to the 42, to the previous generations, it's a real step change. It's a real step change. And if you look at the motorboats which are about to come, I'm very optimistic that we can also positively surprise you what Bavaria can offer on the motorboat side, because sometimes you don't need the big revolution, but if you have a clever concept which really is fit for purpose, it makes a big difference.
How many new boats can you launch each year at Bavaria?
At the moment, we have been launching 1 to 2 boats a year, and I think this is, looking at the size of a shipyard, a good speed for the moment. We need to see, because also new models depend not only on design capacity, etc., but also on the supplier side on the markets. So we need to see where we can keep that speed in the next 24 months, depending on the situation in the supplier market.
On a industrial point of view, do you have any sufficient production capacity in Giebelstadt in comparison to some competitors who are obliged to buy out some yards to growth?
Looking into the history of Bavaria, I think most of you are aware that we were producing more than 2,000 boats already within the same facility. So when it comes to the infrastructure, we have a lot of potential to grow. So the limiting factor at the moment is not the industrial shipyard. The limiting factors at the moment are different, looking into the supplier base and into the staffing.
If you look in the future, how do you see? How do you imagine Bavaria in 4 years?
I hope that within 4 years we will be able to look back and saying that the new models which we have been able to launch in the last 4 years have been really hitting the sweet spot, so that we are able to prove to our customers that there is some positive development, some innovation for all of them on the sailing as well as on the motorboat side. So we will see a lot of change on the product side, which I think is important for us looking back into the last 10 years.
Your opinion about hybrid motorizations?
It will come. It will come. I think there's a very clear trend. You see it in automotive, you see it in the commercial vehicles. It will come. The question, where first and how fast? So I think hybrid is a little bit more easy to handle, as well as electric, for example, when you talk about lakes and rivers. When you talk about the open sea, you might want to have a little bit more reserve when it comes to your alternative power source. So it will come for sure. The question is where to start, when to start, looking also at our product range.
When could we imagine a Bavaria hybrid powerboat on a lake?
That's a good question, and honestly, I don't have the answer yet. Sorry for drawing the card, but it's not even 100 days in the job. I think this is something which we will debate in the months to come.
As a conclusion, Mark, why should a boat enthusiast choose for a Bavaria and not another brand? Make us dream.
I think there are two options to answer this. The rational one, which I believe we have a very good package when it comes to what we offer in terms of functionality, quality, value for money, and also the lifetime experience over the next 30 years. But at the same time, it's not about the rational aspects only. And I would just invite you to either go on the motorboat side if that's your favorite, or join us on the C42. And if you spend a day or 2 days like I did now in the last week on a 42, I think it's self-explanatory, because it's an unmatchable feeling with the total package which we are providing.
Thank you very much, Mark.
It was my pleasure. Thank you very much.